Yo, it's your boy Mduduzi. All my brothers, all my sisters, all my kings and queens, I'm coming back to y'all with another one. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, I've heard people say, but yeah, I've got a young cold. Haven't been coughing, but yeah, a cold and still recovering. But today is Thursday, the 19th of June, 2025. And I came to talk about the topic. As you see, every flaw you see in others, fix in yourself. I think this is a very profound way of thinking. It helps, I'm all about self accountability. So it really helps you be more accountable and just helps you become a better person. So, what do I mean by that? It's like I'll just name a couple of people and a couple of situations where I see how their actions are detrimental. And because it's hard to get through to other people, like you can be a good meaning person giving advice, but it can be met with resistance, especially with women, what I've seen. So I've just, in my life, in my journey, I've just decided to every flaw that I see in others, I fix in myself if I can fix it. So let's get it started. I want to talk about, I feel like my mom is the main one. I don't want to talk down on my mom, but there's a few negative traits I see in her. And one of them is she doesn't have the ability in my eyes to lead and to develop structure that is functioning, right? Funny enough, I saw a quote that said, "Women left to their own devices self-destruct." I'm paraphrasing. But the moment I heard it, I accepted it as true because this is what I've seen with a couple of women. And because my mom, because I live with them and I'm able to observe it. Yeah, observe it, right? So it's like no structure, no leadership, no accountability. It's just, in my eyes, it's just disgusting. It's like, how can you live like this? But, I've been around my mom for a long time and I know that, not that I can't, but it's hard to get through to her because in my eyes, she's stuck in her ways. It's like she seems, in my perspective, it seems like she sees herself as doing no wrong, right? So I've just come to take all those thoughts. I'm always thinking like, she doesn't know how to do this. This is wrong. And I fix it in myself, right? So as I was talking about leadership, it's like now I understand the importance of, it's setting a structure for my life. One thing that resonates a lot with me is, just making the right decision. Really think that's what living in the kingdom of God. I'm not going to be looking at myself that much, right? But living in the kingdom of God, living in righteousness, that's what it means. It's just like making right choices. So for me, it's the simple things, right? It's like when I wake up, I don't always feel like brushing my teeth before I eat. But I know that if I don't brush my teeth, right, and I'm not going anywhere, before I eat, brushing them after, just because I didn't make the decision to brush them before, yes, I'll eventually come around to brushing them, but it's more of like I have less enthusiasm for it, right? Rather, if I just start off, I brush my teeth before I eat. I do, I bath. I watch what I eat. You know what I'm saying? I'm not someone who works out yet. I recently got a gym membership, but out of all the food at home, I watch what I eat. I watch, am I eating too much? My conscience, which has also been said as the voice of God, convicts me. It's like if I take too much of something where I didn't need it, you know what I'm saying, I get convicted. So just making the right decisions, you know, like washing dishes when, even though like I haven't made all the dishes, but I just ate, you know. It's making that hard decision to wash the dishes, knowing that, you know what, I live in a house where people don't think for each other. But there's no chance of me being like, you know what, you have to wash the dishes. It's going to be met with resistance. So it's either I choose not to wash them or I make the hard decision to wash them, which eventually leads to me feeling good, funny enough, and it creates like a ripple effect where I continue making the right decisions, knowing that if I am being tested, you know, I have the role of the expectation of passing, you know, being uh, foolproof. And that takes me to James 1 verse 12, where the Lord talks about, blessed is the man that remains something like steadieth or under when he's being tested, but whoever doesn't fold, if I can put it like that. So I have the responsibility of not folding, making the right decision, denying myself of the things God doesn't want me to partake in. Yeah, so that's just one of the examples, right? Like, I want to talk about my brother. I see him lying in the bed all day. My mom doesn't say anything. You know, I truly believe that women can't teach men how to be men, right? So he's just going to have to wake up by himself and see how much time is wasted. And that's just going to be one of the hard lessons he has to learn. But anyways, I see him lying in bed all day, not doing nothing. So it's like, for me, it's not my place to judge him. It's not going to be respected as I want it to be, but it's for me to look at him and be like, you know what, do the opposite of that. Stay working. You know, I'm always trying to, you know, it's either iron my clothes. You know, I do a lot of listening to podcasts, a lot of knowledge gaining. What else can I do? You know, like, I'm always trying to do something because I see the opposite of it, and I see that because I am 100% accountable for my life, if I choose to make his decisions, which I have plenty of times, right, it's only gonna lead me to not having what I want. And I want mansions. I want, in terms of materialistic things, I want cars, I want mansions, I want hundreds of millions, right? So the opposite of that is just straight action. You know, I look at my niece. She's 14, and I would label her as quote unquote glued to her phone, right? But then again, the reality is, I watched a Netflix documentary of how certain apps, they set themselves up, you know, through also AI, if I'm not wrong, to keep you on your phone, to keep suggesting what you like. Even with me, like, now that I am a knowledge getter, I'm someone who seeks after wisdom, right? I find that I'm watching a very powerful and insightful YouTube video, then I get recommended something else that's also, it looks like, hey, this is knowledge I need. So this is just how these platforms are set up. And if you don't know this, you'll just constantly be on your phone. And when I take a step back to see her constantly on her phone like I was, right, it's such a time waster, because all that content, you don't really gain anything in my eyes, right? So I'm someone now who's off all the socials, not even on WhatsApp. And funny enough, I feel so much better about it because it's just a time waster, honestly. And another thing is, for me, it's just being honest with myself. It's like how I said, I was on Instagram not to preach the message of God. I was there for girls, and because those girls I wanted weren't reciprocating, it felt useless basically. So that's why I'm off Instagram, and I have no should I want to check what someone else is doing, because um their success doesn't mean nothing towards me. Yes, I can see their success and get inspired, but for me, I'm not a jealous person. I know that the only reason why someone is here is because of the action they took, right? So yeah, it's like all the flaws you see in other people, just fix it in yourself if you can. And I say if you can because I'm thinking right now of a certain girl, right? She was my friend, quote unquote. Thing about it was, I was telling her the last times we spoke, I sent a message basically advising her on how to get a high value man in my perspective, right? Because I'm like, okay, she's single, this is TMI, but like, she had just recently had another guy leave her. And I understand that a lot of women don't understand men, right? So I was just trying to give her a game as a good friend. Then she retaliated on some. I'm just gonna work on myself for myself. If God decides to send me a person, then that's that. But I'm not gonna study how to get no man. And I was just like, because she's still, I'd say, quote unquote, in the best years of her female life. That's how they've put it, right? Like, she was 24, if I'm not wrong. She doesn't see it now, but it's gonna hurt her. And we stopped talking because she's also a female that puts no effort, no text, even though we're friends. But then again, like, I say, okay, like, now it's not my position to give advice to people. Like, I got into this weird phase where I realized that, I'm giving advice that I'm not fully qualified to give, right? So it's like, that's why I say if you can, like with her situation, I just let her be. Like, if she ends up alone, which I'm hoping not, then it's, her responsibility, because we are all 100% responsible for our lives. Yeah, I was at Clearwater Mall, specifically Relay Jeans or Markham. I think it was Markham, right? And I was looking for jeans. So one of the brothers that was helping me out, or he was basically working around the store, black brother, a little bit older than me. I'm 26 right now, so he could have been like 28, 29. That's how he looked. He was on some, you inspire me, but he was saying it in Zulu, but he's like, you inspire me. And I was also dripping that day. I was head to toe in polo, So, but he was like, you inspire me. It's inspiring to see a brother prioritize himself and not put all that effort into a woman as us guys do. Then he kind of went on a tangent talking about his relationship, on how, you can find that you're doing all these things for a woman and it leads you nowhere. And I gave him advice, but even though my advice is valid from a wisdom point of view, it's not from an experience point of view. So I think from there and from many other instances, I've learned to see the flaws in people and just to fix it in myself, never to give advice. So another thing, right, funny enough, I was just thinking this now. I went to go see my dog because, I'm sick. I felt like something's wrong. I didn't want him to think that I'm not serious about the job, right? Which I am. But yeah, like on my way there was a brother who was begging. Let me put it like this, like so you guys can understand. A brother who was begging. And let's say the robot is here, right? Here's the robot, he's by the robot. And there's cars lined up. So I'm like the third car. So I'm my thumb, right? This brother, he just stood at the robot with the, his basically his sign saying, I didn't read much into it, but it said, I have 2 kids. I think obviously, I didn't read all, but probably saying I'm not working. But I was like, you know what? I feel like that's to be judgmental, that's very lazy of the brother. And it's not only him. I've seen a lot of guys, they no more walk, the normal walk to each and every car and see, even though they get ignored, but like try. Because like if I'm the third person how I was describing and I have money, I feel like for me it's disingenuous, as well as I'm giving it to him easy if I just hold like a 20 rand out the car. Instead of him coming up to my car, be like, you know what, I'm asking, can you please? So my conclusion was, you know what, in my mind I was thinking, man, the brother's getting lazy, you know what I'm saying? And it takes me back to Andrew Tate. He was saying something on the lines of, isn't it crazy how bums, right? Bums never felt like they had to prove themselves. Whereas kings, they'd go out and conquer more land, although they had it all. And I was kind of thinking the same thing. Is like, even though I fully believe brothers are not on the street, because I saw the brother had a school bag, if I'm not wrong. But I was like, isn't it crazy how brothers are on the street and they'll just stand and, you know what I'm saying, ask, but not put in that effort, right? Whereas someone who is actually having is really putting in effort to have all he has. But my conclusion was, it's not for me to go up to him and be like, nah, you're being lazy, because that might not even be 100% accurate judgment. Rather, it's for me to look at the brothers like, okay, I feel like he's lazy. You know what, Mduduzi, in your life, do not become lazy. Yeah, guys, as simple as this is, right? It obviously takes time to apply, but like that mindset can really liberate you. I was just also at the store. I took my mom to the store. I'm sitting in the parking because I sat in the car while she went in. I'm looking at brothers, the different types of cars they drive. I'm like, why do you even buy such a car? But then I took it back to myself. I was like, you don't even have a car. How are you to judge? Like, what are you doing judging? Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's like every flaw you see, just fix it in yourself. I look at brothers who are messing up. It's just like, just fix it in yourself and learn from others, right? Which is the right thing to do. And yeah, have a successful life, That's what I'm really in it for, to have a good life. Yeah, to have a wonderful life, which I'm gonna have, But yeah, like all the small things you see, brothers, like personally, like I see a lot of flaws in my friends, and I'm like, okay, all those flaws, it's for me to, if the brother's not texting me back, I should be the one, not to him, because if I feel like the relationship is messed up, it's hard to recover. But like all my new friends, I'm the one to reach out. Just always better yourself, man. Self-development. This is specifically also if you're a man, because we need to be on our grind. Better yourself. Fix the flaws inside yourself. It's really about character, guys. Like being a man of character. And yeah, man, as Kuzani said, ngazabalaza bebuke abantu. Basically, I moved I made progress while people were watching. That's the takeaway. I'm looking at also, one of the things that gets to me is like, I look at people and I'm like, how is it that you've been in the same situation? Basically, also like people walking, right? Especially there's this one granny, like she's always carrying heavy packets. Maybe like I feel like once a month she goes and shops. Then you find that she's got like 4 packets. And this time she's like full gray head. She's, old now, right? I think this will help just while I'm ending this video. And I always wonder, I was like, why the hell would why would she keep putting herself through torture in my eyes? But then, like I'm saying, it's like I see it in a lot of people. It's like they just live the same life. Alex Hormozy, he says something on the lines of, people live the same 6 months, their whole lives, and then they die. And peeping that, I've seen in myself, right? I've also been living a cycle. And it's been up to me to break out that cycle. My cycle has been, honestly, hardly falling short of the corn websites. And that makes me want to stay in bed all day. That makes me not feel good. Then I break out of that. Then I have a lot of chores to do. Then it comes a time again where I'm feeling temptation. I give in. So seeing it in another person, I'm able to see it in myself. And if I'm really serious about my life, if I am taking the advice I'm giving, I break out. And that's what I've been doing, right? Staying active. I'm getting into the gym. I'm just doing all the things that other people I see that they should be doing, but it's up to me to do for my own life and for them to figure out. Yeah, if they come for advice, obviously you give people advice, but like at the end of the day, it's like, it's everybody for themselves. And it's a good thing like that, because if you take 100% accountability, you're able to grow, you're able to ask the questions. But like, yeah, all the flaws you see in others, fix in yourself. It's your boy, I'm out. Peace.